If this found you, it's not an accident. There's a reason you've been feeling tired of trying so hard and still not getting where you want to be. Maybe you've been pushing yourself to stay positive, trying to think the right thoughts, trying to act as if everything is already working out, and yet something feels off. You wake up with tension in your body. Your mind keeps circling the same concerns. There's a quiet pressure underneath everything you do, like you're always one step away from falling behind. You tell yourself to keep going, to try harder, to fix it. But deep down, there's a part of you that feels exhausted by the effort. That feeling matters more than you think, because what you've been taught about creating change in your life often leans heavily on effort. Push more, do more, control your thoughts, control your emotions, stay focused at all times. At first, that sounds reasonable, but over time, it creates a subtle tension inside you. When you try to force a better state, your body doesn't relax into it. It tightens. And this is where something important begins to shift. Your mind can repeat a thought like everything is working out, but your nervous system is still holding on to stress, doubt, or fear. And the body doesn't respond to words alone. It responds to what feels real. This is where many people get stuck without realizing it. They believe they're doing everything right, but inside there's resistance. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because they're trying to control something that doesn't respond to control. Your internal state isn't something you can force into alignment. It changes when it feels safe enough to shift. And this is where a different approach begins. Instead of trying to make something happen, you begin to allow something to unfold. That might sound passive at first, but it's not. Allowing requires awareness. It asks you to notice what's actually happening inside you without immediately trying to fix it. When a feeling comes up, the usual reaction is to replace it, to distract yourself, to override it with something more positive. But that often keeps the original feeling in place. Because what is ignored doesn't disappear. It stays in the background, shaping your reactions, your thoughts, and your patterns. So instead of pushing it away, you pause. You feel it without rushing to change it. There's a moment where you stop fighting your own experience. And in that moment, something softens. This is not about staying stuck in negative emotions. It's about removing the pressure that keeps them active. Think about how the body reacts when it feels threatened. It contracts, it prepares, it holds. Now imagine trying to relax by force while your body is still in that state. It doesn't work. Relaxation happens when the body recognizes that it's safe. And the same principle applies to your emotional state. When you allow a feeling to be there without resisting it, you send a different signal to your system. You're no longer treating that feeling as a problem that needs to be eliminated immediately. You're creating space. And space changes everything. This isn't where many of the ideas you've heard about manifestation start to make more sense. It's not about repeating phrases until something changes. It's about the state you're in while you live in a jokyun. If your state is built on tension and effort, your actions carry that energy. But when your state begins to soften, your perception changes. Your reactions change. Even the way you interpret situations shifts. This is what people often describe as alignment, but it's not something you chase. It's something that emerges when resistance begins to drop. And this shift doesn't happen through force. It happens through awareness. There's a simple way to begin noticing this in your daily life. Some point today, you'll catch yourself trying to control something. It could be a thought, a situation, or even another person. When that happens, pause for a moment. Not to fix it, just to notice it. Feel what's happening in your body. Is there tightness, restlessness, a sense of urgency? Instead of pushing through it, stay with it for a few seconds longer than you normally would. You might notice something surprising. The intensity begins to change on its own. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped feeding it with resistance. Another simple practice is to shift your attention to your breath, not as a technique to control your state, but as a way to anchor yourself in the present moment. Take a slow breath in and let it out without trying to change anything else. You're not using the breath to fix yourself. You're using it to return to where you already are. From there, you can add a quiet statement, not as a command, but as a reminder. Something like, I don't need to force this. I can let this unfold. Say it once and let it land. There's no need to repeat it over and over. Because what matters is not the repetition, it's the feeling behind it. Over time, this changes the way you relate to your own experience. You stop seeing discomfort as something that must be eliminated immediately. You begin to see it as a signal that something inside you is asking for attention, not control. And this is where a deeper shift begins. When you're no longer fighting your internal state, you have more energy available. That energy doesn't go into overthinking. It doesn't go into constant correction. It becomes available for clarity. And from clarity, your decisions start to feel different. You act because something feels right, not because you're trying to avoid something feeling wrong. This is the difference between forcing and allowing. Forcing comes from tension. Allowing comes from awareness. Forcing tries to move faster than your system is ready for. Allowing works with the pace that creates real change. And when you begin to live from that place, something interesting happens. You still take action. You still move forward. But it no longer feels like a constant struggle. There's more ease in the process. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because you're no longer in conflict with yourself. And that changes how everything unfolds. So if you've been feeling stuck or tired of trying to get it right, consider this. Maybe nothing is wrong with your effort. Maybe the missing piece is not more force but less resistance. Not more control, but more awareness. And this shift doesn't require you to become someone else. It begins with a simple moment of noticing. A moment where you stop trying to push your experience away and allow it to be there, just as it is. From that place, change doesn't feel like something that you've informed. It starts to feel like something that can actually happen. If this perspective made something click for you, stay with this work. Subscribe to the channel, because this is where we continue exploring how your mind, your emotions, and your awareness shape your life in ways most people never stop to see. And if you're ready to go deeper, watch the next video. There's a connection waiting for you there.